Welcome to The Buzz. We're going to have some fun, hear things you'll never hear anywhere else, and learn how to take 1 hour off your marathon PR. That may be an exaggeration, but I am Buzz Burrell, and we're going to have real conversations with the people who help define this amazing sport of running, which often feels like more than just a sport. So send me your questions and comments to buzz@ultrasignup.com so we can do this together. This is a production of UltraSignup. Thank you for joining me. Arc'teryx is the revered manufacturer of mountain clothing and is continuing its big push into running shoes with the new Nivalis, a shoe especially for winter. The Norvan 4 Nivalis has a full Gore-Tex cover and ankle gaiter. There are other Gore-Tex shoes on the market, but if the laces and tongue are showing, water just enters through those openings. The full Gore-Tex cover is the only way to keep your feet dry and warm. The Nivalis is the winter version of the successful Norvan with a Vibram light base outsole and deep 6mm lugs. It's great for running or hiking, and it looks as good as it performs. This is Buzz Burrell. I hope you're enjoying The Buzz, and don't forget that UltraSignup has 2 other shows on its podcast network. Check out The Trailhead with Zoe Rome and Brendan Leonard, where they celebrate the quirks and culture of trail running as only those two can do, and Between Two Pines, our offbeat, laugh-out-loud show with Dom Grossman and Andy Pearson. And here's something new, both The Buzz and The Trailhead are now on YouTube, so whether you want to listen on the run or watch from home, we've got you covered. Just search for UltraSignup on YouTube and hit subscribe. Greetings, sports fans. Normally I start with a little bit of an introduction, but my guest today is Kilian Jornet. I could introduce him by reading his bio, but that would be a little silly. I think you've probably heard of Kilian. Kilian, it's so nice to talk to you again, and congratulations on your States of Elevation project.
Oh, thank you. But it's been a nice month. It's been a great journey, and happy to be here talking with you.
States of Elevation is massive. You know, a person could find out a lot of information, a lot of great video. Go to KilianJornet.cat. That's CAT. There's great blog posts, great video, but very much in brief. This is 72 14ers in 31 days, totaling 403,000 feet of elevation gain, 620 miles on foot, 2,568 miles by bike. Wow. And so what you did is you climbed almost all the Colorado 14ers, and you biked to California, and you did all those. Then you biked to Washington, and you did Mount Rainier. So this was a self-propelled, supported trip.
Yeah, it was like somehow I found that doing the 14ers, it was a good excuse to discover and explore a bit more the west of the US, and to see the different landscapes and even the desert and the people there. It was cool that half of the summits I did with people that they were often from the villages and from there. So to get a bit more immersed into the culture of the mountains here, and seeing the geography of those mountains and the wilderness, it was something that I really wanted to explore. And then I think it's good to find easy excuses to do that, and to link 14ers, it was a good one.
Well, that's terrific. You wrote back in December, and you're an incredible planner. So you plan your projects very, very intimately. So I'm not sure if people see this side of you. Obviously, you're this phenomenal endurance athlete, technically endurance and speed, but you're a great planner. You understand these things real well. And I'll read what you wrote back last winter. To link the 14ers in the lower 48, the idea is to explore the U.S. mountain ranges, rocks, textures, the wilderness, and its cultures the difference between the European and American culture in their access to wilderness, preservations, and populations, and to explore the physiological limits of long endurance activity in variable conditions. So I think you did just that.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it's great to see what I was thinking before and see if like I have achieved what I was looking for. And I think it was because yeah, I could really explore, I think, the mountains and ranges and culture of these places, and also like on that way, like seeing how yeah, how the body reacts, and it was very interesting on that side that I felt like crap at the beginning. Like I felt like first week was horrible, probably like just like jet lag and just the change of environment, like with dry air and high altitude and everything. So first week was crap, but then the body just started to adapting, and like when I arrived in Washington, I was like, I feel great. Like I can like continue doing that like forever. So it's great to see how the body. It's really amazing how it if you give the time to yeah to adapt to every stimuli, how it continues to make changes until it feels like comfortable with whatever we give him.
Well, that's an interesting point, an interesting comment, because some people after 31 days, they might feel like it's time to quit. But I like what you
Yeah.
wrote. You said, no, you're going fine. You just say, well, I'm done. Time to go see the family.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's more like mentally like that yeah, you want to finish and mostly like yeah, it's been long like this project like 1 month and 1 month like without seeing the kids it's very long. So I was really like oh yeah, it's a bit too much on that, so I wanted to go back home. But physically, like it was great to see like how the body and in many markers, like I could see that like on my muscle fatigue that it was not there then. Like I could see that on like how I was just feeling every morning, like with my pulse and with my HRV, and also like how it changed. Like when I was training for Western States, for example, I was like training a lot on heat and sweating a lot because like to get like cooler during the race, and how during this project because it's not like water availability many days like I was drinking maybe like half a liter for like 15-20 hours and it was okay. I could see the next morning that my hydration levels were great, so like how the body adapt to that like with some hormonal changes and changes on the sweating and that. So yeah, how the body adapts and makes you yeah able to do kind of whatever you do for forever. It gets to homeostasis on that point.
Interesting. Even at that extraordinary output, you believe it reaches a homeostasis and that the body adapts.
Yeah, and I think that I didn't know what to expect on the project at that level, and I think it's interesting to see that. The three similar projects I've done started in the Pyrenees, and then I was feeling like worse and worse day after day. Like I was losing a lot of weight, and I was just feeling like mm, very, very tired, both like physically and also my muscles. And I finished like just saying I cannot do like one more step almost. And in the abs, it was very different. I managed much better like the nutrition and the pacing and the sleeping, and I felt like at the end I was physically feeling very good, but mentally I was like completely done because the concentration and the risk taking that it was involved every day. And then here in the US, it was like more like yeah, I could see that the body was adapting physically very very well. And since it was not anything really technical, so like mentally it was just fun. Like it was just like oh yeah, you are like sometimes you have some scramblings, but it was really nothing to worry about during the project. Uh, and then it was mostly just like grit, I would say, because weather was kind of not perfect. Got a lot of rain and snow, so it was more like to say, yeah, you just at some point you just accept that, yeah, you need to just keep going, even if it's bad weather, even if it's uncomfortable. But besides that, I think the mind and the body really adapt.
Excellent. Excellent. Very, very impressive. Speaking of, let's go back to Colorado here. So your style, I think, in my opinion, a lot of people's opinion, was extraordinary. This wasn't about the numbers. You weren't trying to see how fast you could do the 14ers at all, because you start off on Long's Peak with Kyle Richardson. That was
Was very
brilliant.
cool to have him there. Yeah, very nice guy.
Exactly. But then your next 14er would have been Mount Evans. But then you did the LA freeway from Longs, that's what the L stands for, to Arapahoe. That's a pretty stout route. I invented it. So I was very pleased to see that you went after it. But again, you didn't have to do that at all. You just did it because you felt like doing it.
Yeah, like somehow, like I've heard about like routes like LA Freeway and the Nolans and like the Elks Traverse and the Palisades Traverse like for a very long time, and it was like, okay, like if I go to US to do a project, I want to do those things. I it's the opportunity I have to do this kind of thing. So I wanted to experience those mountains and those routes while I was here. So yeah, probably it's not the fastest way, but somehow it's the experience I was wishing to, because they are also part of the culture, I think, of like FKTs and the culture of like the people moving in the mountains. It's very, and you can see that like on how it's different, like on like most of the runners in Colorado that they can get inspired by Nolans, for example, and that kind of terrain, or like in California that it's more about climbing. So like to see how these roads also like shape the culture of the trail running culture on these regions. And yeah, it was fun to include all these classical roads. And it's yeah, I would say like LA Freeway. I really enjoy the first part and the last part. The middle part, like it's a lot of talus and it's a lot of like grassy running. So I was just wishing like I think also because I was like not feeling super great that first day. I was thinking, oh, I really hope that the technical comes again. But yeah, the first part and the last part of the route are amazing. I think just the views and the wilderness up there. Like it's for the full day, I didn't see anybody besides one guy like hiking down 2 miles to the trailhead. So it was like a very very cool way to start.
I really appreciated your style, inviting friends up. Kyle Richardson on Long's Peak was very, very cool. And then I have to say, I was in Michigan during this time because I would have loved to come up on the LA freeway and said hello. That would have been really fun.
Yeah, no, it would be nice to have you there. Like you have done most of the roads, like every way you put it up. And how many of those have you been doing? Like most of them, like probably the Nolans and the Jean Muir Trail and all those. And so I think for me it was very cool to have these people like Kyle doing LA Freeway, because he knows the route, he have a deep connection with it, with those mountains. And when going to like the Elks, I was doing that with Simi that have the FKT, he's a mountain guide there, and with um, Ryan that he's like a marathoner turned to ultra runner, and like now he's doing a lot of these ridges because he lives in Crested Butte. So like they have this connection with these mountains. And in the Normans the same, like with Rod Farber that he's local there, like from Mammoth, or like with Olivia and Matt Cornell that they live in Bishop and it's their playground. I think it's like I really enjoyed the places I did alone, like in the Sangre de Cristos or like most of the Nolans. But when I share paths with people that they are from those places, it's like you also feel this love and this connection with their mountains, and it's something that it gives you a bigger connection also with those landscapes.
Bigger connection with the landscapes and the people. And again, I thought it was such good style, frankly, because you are going to attract a lot of attention. If I may say so, pardon me, you are a star of ultra running. And so by having all these other people come along, well, they get a little light shining on them. You kind of get to share the fun, share the joy. And what a all-star cast. Like you said, Ryan Hall on the Elks. I mean, Ryan Hall was America's best road marathoner, and then he quit. Now he's into bodybuilding. So Ryan's kind of a big guy now, but he's still super tough. And so you got to experience all these amazing people.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what we love about this sport, that I think it's to meet people, to discover what makes us the same. We all have like a deep connection with our mountains and with the love of running, the love of moving, of climbing, and what motivates us. Like, it might be slightly different, but at the end is the same, is to be out there and to share those things. It's kind of it's kind of amazing, and seeing that everywhere in the world we go, like, it's we can find other people that have the same passion as we have, and that they have the same deep love about those spaces. And yeah, I think it's also those moments shared, like when you climb a summit and it's like just this beautiful sunset, or like this moon racing like big and red, and you are with someone there and you are like, look at that, it's so cool, look at this view, or did you saw this elk or whatever. And it's to share the happiness of those moments, to have good conversations, and those conversations can be about those landscapes, to say, oh, like that winter I was skiing that place and it's great, or that happened, and to share all the stories with the people that has been experienced them. If you are, I think it's. Well, I think it was with Ryan that we said that it was very nice that we met up there on a 15-hour like run together on the mountains and on the wilderness. Like, it's very different, I think, the relationship that you can create with someone if you are experiencing all these things, compared if you meet like in a coffee place, like after a race, that it would be like some small talk, but you never like get to experience the same things and have the same feelings at the same place.
Right. Interesting. Well, good style. I really appreciated that. And let me ask you about something in particular. When you and I talked in June, I said, biking from Colorado to California is a really long way. I said, I mean, do the 14ers, but that's a long bike ride. And you were like, fine, no problem. I can do this. And you did do it. But, how did that go? Was that hard? Was that boring? Tell me about that, because your bike mileage was much longer than your run mileage, but time-wise on the bike, you were 40% versus 60% on foot, but still 40% is a lot of riding.
Yeah, it's a lot of ride. Like, I had never ride that long on my life. Probably if you add like the last 10 years of biking, I had done the same kilometers as I did like in the past month. It was, I was kind of like a bit excited and worried at the same time, like of what I would feel like. Actually, I'd enjoy it on the way. And I think it was because also in Colorado, it was a lot of short bike rides every day, kind of like from 30 to 100 miles. And that was like kind of a good training and good preparation, like for my ass and for my arms and whatever, to then get ready for those long rides to California and up to Washington. I wouldn't say it's not the place I enjoyed the most. Like, I love like to be in the mountains and to be scrambling, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the desert, like just these huge spaces and days that you don't see anything. Like, I remember going, it was the third day or fourth day going down to California. I was there in Arizona in the desert, and it's just nothing. Now you pass very small villages every 100 miles, and it was just these long trains. I was counting the wagons of the train, 1, 2, 3, 100, 110. And it's nice to be bored sometimes. Like, I think that we are not used anymore to be bored with all the social media and all these things, but it was nice to just be bored for long and just like enjoy that too. And yeah, it went better than I thought. the bike, and I kind of enjoy, especially the gravel sections. Uh, Both in Colorado, I did some sections of the Colorado Trail and Engineer Pass, or yeah, in Mount Shasta, a lot of gravel, and it was great. Like I really enjoyed that.
Okay, good job. Well, you wrote that you had a bike 2 or 3 times before this project, and then you were riding 175 miles per day every day. So that's strong, that's stout. But I also appreciated you were on a gravel bike, which means no suspension, probably like a 40, 45 millimeter tire. Engineer Pass on a gravel bike is a little bumpy.
It is. It is. No, there was like I'm not a biker, so I don't know like things about the bikes, or so I was, yeah, just like gravel should be fine. It's cars go, or like, yeah, um some kind of vehicles go there, and it was funny that when I came down from Handy's, actually, Scott Simons, that yeah, he's a good runner, skimo guy, and but yeah, very experienced mm, cyclist. He was with his mountain bike, and he was like, really seriously, is he going to go like there with the gravel bike? And I was very lucky that he was there, because then he was like kind of showing the way, and and I could just like be taking attention and not thinking like what I'm doing here, because yeah, it's very bumpy.
Very bumpy. Well, good job. You didn't, the bike held up, everything held up brilliantly. It was, again, we should note that it was a self-powered, which means you went everywhere on your own power, and you had a small crew, not a huge crew, certainly
Mm,
photographers, but
well,
then
like,
makes basically the
yeah,
van, 2 people.
yeah, it was like in the, like, we were five in, or like yeah, uh five in total. It's three photographers, Nick, Joel, and David, and then it was Preston that he was doing like all the logistics for the four of us. And at the beginning, also in Colorado, Mireia was here too. So yeah, it was kind of a small team, but it was nice. Like, also like the relation that you create there, and like the day to day, like when you go back and the meals and talking about the what everyone had been experiencing on the day. Because yeah, I was up there in the mountain having fun, and sometimes like having not that much fun, but there they also had nice experiences, like driving the RVs around, or like having flat tires, or like need to get towed, or like they also ran a lot of miles, like going up to some summits to shoot, and it was nice every kind of evening to sit down and just talk about how had been our days.
Well, the crew is always important, and your crew wrote that during this 31 days, they took a total of 3 showers and used a washing machine once.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
your crew
I
is tough.
yeah, no, yeah, like everybody's living the same life. Like, yeah, I think they took like some more like river showers or so. Yeah, no, like at the end, it's hard for everyone. Like you are like spending a lot of hours out, and like you just yeah, eating when you can, sleeping when you can.
Right. Well, let's bump over to California now, which, as you and I discussed in June, that, in my opinion, is good rock. The Sierras have that nice, clean granite. The Alps are famous. To me, the Alps are a little more chossy. You know, it's a little more difficult. I like the California granite. So, how did you feel about that? You've had a lot of experience with a lot of scrambling and low fifth class climbing, and Norman's has some steep pitches in it. So what did you think of California?
Yeah, no, I was really looking forward, because it's the section like in Colorado, it's some scrambling, like it's a little in like LA Freeway, and a little in the Elks or in the Sangres, but it's it's in the lower, like it's more like four class, and maybe some one step of five class every now and then, but mostly it's like in Colorado, mostly you walk with your feet, and I was like, I was looking forward to use a bit more the hands too, so so that was cool to get there, and then like yeah, conditions were very challenging, I would say, because like I was thinking to stay a bit longer on the ridge, but then like when I was going down on the Jammer Trail. Like I was talking a bit with the team, and they were saying, "Oh, like it's some serious weather coming this night, a lot of snow and thunder." And they say like, yeah, both Olivia and Matt, that they are very experienced climbing there. They say, and like it's probably unfeasible to stay longer on the ridge. Conditions are like not good for that, so it would be just good to do kind of the classical Normans. And I'm glad that they brought that and that we changed plan, because it was yeah, kind of some weather. I went up to Split Mountain with Olivia, and it was like a lot of wind, and it was snowing. Like it put probably like 4 or 5 fingers of snow in 40 minutes, the time that we were climbing the summit. And that meant that the other part, like all the Palisades traverse that I did with Matt Cornell, uh, it was with it was still like pretty much snow on the east side. It was icy, so it made the climbing a bit more interesting, I would say. Because yeah, you need to look a bit more like which route you take down, where it's possible to down climb, and then like yeah, these a bit harder pitches, like to really be a bit more thoughtful on like how you, yeah, if you need to clean a bit the rock, or just to think a bit more on how to yeah, hold the rocks. But the rock is excellent. Just I would say just to up to middle Palisade, on the side we climbed, it was pretty loose rock, but when it was steep, it was great rock. And then all the Palisades traverse, it was excellent rock and beauty. It's just nice. Like I think it's just this kind of terrain that it's beautiful to move on. That it's, you use your hands, you use your brain, and you just want that to keep forever. So it's the kind of terrain I love.
Right. Well, weather was an issue. I mean, obviously in Colorado, you had hit with serious weather. 10 of the 16 days rained or snowed. And then you get to the beautiful, the range of light, as John Muir called it. And you had a storm again. You had ice in the route. And as you just described, you had to go slower. You had to choose the particular line. You had to think about it. But fortunately, you're good at that.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the fun of the project. It's to keep moving and adapting to the conditions. Like it's not about. I think when you do some other projects, to wait for the perfect conditions, and wait for the perfect day to do something. And the beauty of these long projects is just to say, okay, I just need to start at some point, because if we are waiting for perfect conditions, you will never start. And it's good to just start and just to see what the mountains have to offer, and to adapt. And that's why we develop skills. It's just to be able to navigate those places with whatever conditions we can face. And yeah, I think the hardest was probably at the beginning. Like I think it was like third day. Like I was feeling bad. Like my body wasn't good yet. Like I was still feeling very tired, and like waking up 5 in the morning after like 3 hours of sleep. It's raining. I need to take the bike, and it's never nice to to bike on the rain at night. But like it's something that I choose to, and that probably those situations, this weather, it makes the adventure a bit more enjoyable at the future, when I will remember. It's like, yeah, it was that shitty day, or it was this thing, that it's more fun to remember than if everything goes perfect.
That's one way to look at it. Personally, no, I don't like to bike in the rain at all.
No, me neither.
Wow. Well, in spite of the icy conditions on Norman's 13, you did establish an FKT there of 2 days, 8 hours versus the previous fastest time of 3 days, 2 hours. So, in spite of the fact that you were going particularly slow and careful because of the conditions, you were still significantly faster than Jason Hardrath was.
Yeah, no, I was surprised about that. I didn't like know like how the terrain was going to be, like besides the climbing sections that I had looked more. But yeah, it's this kind of terrain that I like. Even like just before, like going from like Whitney to Tyndall, that it's not technical, but it's just like big rocks, and you sometimes you need to think where you put the feet, and it's this kind of terrain that if you have a bit of experience, you can move really fast, I would say. And same like thing in the last part, like the the middle palisade and the palisade traverse, even if it was not fast, like it was not a problem to climb there at night or with those conditions. So you just keep moving, and I think that that makes a big difference on like on the times.
Right, right. And I think you, as you were saying earlier, you started to come into your own. Your body started to feel good because after the Central California mountains, you bumped a little bit to the east for White Mountain, which is sort of this odd little outlier to the east across the Owens Valley. And you just rocketed up that. And then you had to bike to Shasta, which is a volcano in Northern California, just all by itself. And then the video of Shasta, you were in, that looked like Mount Everest.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like the thing is like that all the ride to Shasta, I hit a lot of rain there, so I was thinking, okay, that would be some weather up in Shasta, like some snow. And yeah, it was some snow, some fresh snow in Shasta, but mostly the wind. But it was the some of the windiest days I had ever in the mountains. For the last like 1,000 feet, I needed to crawl up the mountain because when I was standing up, like I was one time I stand up in the near the ridge, and I went like blown like for I don't know, like 10 feet. So I was like, okay, not standing up, just crawling up, trying to stay on the east side of the mountain to avoid a bit of the wind. But yeah, it was yeah, that was it was. It's an easy mountain, like it's a hike up, but it was challenging because the wind was really really insane.
And so you were literally crawling. You had your hands down.
Yeah, I was like trying at the beginning, like when I started to go up, I was like just like when I was going in the switchbacks, when I was going towards the east, like I needed to stop myself, like kind of like going like if I was on a 50-degree like downhill and I was going up because the wind was pushing so hard. And then like when turning around like and going west, I needed to like adopt like a ski shoes position, so like I was aerodynamic, so I could like pass, but like higher up it was impossible to stand up, and I needed to really like yeah be on my knees and move up like that, because if not I was just yeah
Wow.
blown.
Wow. You did, but that's the project. You keep going. You get to a trailhead, you start hiking, whether it's day, night, sunny, cloudy. It's an interesting project. It takes a lot of mental volition to, okay, I'm going up here right now, even though the conditions are bad, you're still going.
Yeah, and well, you adapt like for example, it was in the Crestons. When I arrived there, it was a big storm. I waited like a couple of hours in the trailhead before going up, and then I was going to do the Crestons at night. But when I went to the first summit, is Hammerbolt, I think. Um,
Humboldt.
Humboldt, yeah, Humboldt. It was like a big storm. Like it was snowing a lot. It was like a lot of wind, and I was like, like it's just like stupid to continue the Crestons Traverse because I don't know where I'm going. I don't know the route. It's kind of off trail, like climbing, and I was like, with this storm, like it will be just like stupid. So I went down to the trailhead, rest for like 3 hours or 2 hours until the light was out, and then I could see at least where I was going. Or like the last day in the home in Rainier, I it was also like a lot of snow, fresh snow. I was opening track to the knees, and it was like I was thinking, I was looking at like my ascent speed and was thinking, okay, like I don't want to spend the night up there because it's yeah, it would be too cold, and the route like maybe with that much snow a bit it could be unsafe. So I was thinking it would be kind of poetical that the last summit I cannot climb because the mountain don't allow us to climb. But yeah, eventually like I could find a way and do it. But yeah, it's I try to keep going, but yeah, sometimes the mountain tells otherwise.
Mountains don't care about us.
Yeah, exactly. They are just there. Yeah.
Well, your original spreadsheet was 27 days. It took 31. That's basically weather. I mean, you had no illness, injury, mechanical. It's really some weather. So I think your calculations came out pretty close.
Yeah, I'm very happy because like yeah, I was thinking like 27 is like kind of everything goes perfect, and in projects like that it never goes perfect everything. So I yeah kind of I lost most of the time on the first like week when I was feeling like very bad, and then I could recover a bit. So I'm very happy on that. Like it's always hard to make calculations on times on projects that they are this long, and especially in projects that you don't know the route. Like I had been climbing just like I think 414ers before, so I had no idea like what to expect. Trying to put the times is just like you see a bit like what people is doing, and then like thinking from there. But it's pretty hard. So I'm happy that yeah it didn't that it was close of what I was thinking.
Congratulations. Well, here's a couple big ways, overviews of looking at this as we start to wrap it up here. One is the context, states of elevation. Last year, it was Alpine Connections, which was spectacular. I don't think people in the United States actually understood it. Literally could not understand what you were doing. In Europe, they did, because those connections, those ridge traverses that you were doing were often had never been done. It was that remarkable. But at the same time, we didn't understand it here. So now this year you come and you're going to do the 14ers. Everybody knows the 14ers. And so you have articles in the New York Times and everywhere. Everybody in here is publicizing what you are doing because it's the 14ers. So I don't think you care a lot about that, but I think you care about a new landscape, new people, new culture. But this probably helped out normal a little bit. You kind of want to showcase these excellent products that you have, and you kind of wanted to bring your brand to greater attention in the United States. And I think you've been successful in that. Is that how you would see it?
Yeah, no, I think it helps, of course, but mostly like I think it also like helped and the way where I wanted to put more emphasis in the communication was like also like the what really resonate with me during this project, and it's very different from the like doing the project in the Alps or some other projects I've done in Europe before. It's it's kind of it was more like a physical and technical challenge, because it's places I know, it's places where like it's not really an exploration like of the landscapes. But here in the US, like it was also like this relation with nature that I think it's very different, because two things. First, like the geography is so big, like as I mentioned, like it was like when you do like Normans for 3 days, you don't see any human like settlement. Like you don't cross any road, you don't see any village, and that happens in many places, even in the desert. Like biking, like it's huge places that they are just nature, and that's something unique. It's something that in Europe it rarely exists, and and those places they hold ecosystems that they are unique, like on biodiversity, on species, and that where nature can really develop like fully, and that's something that it's like as a visitor when I'm on those places and I'm running there, you can admire this like the pristine nature and and the luck that we have to be there and to have still these places very close to cities, very close to where people lives, and and yeah, to I know that now it's kind of a lot of discussion about like all the public lands and the accessibility to those places, or like that these places remain like public, uh and I think it's for me it was like if this project can also like bring some attention to those landscapes that I'm that's what admire of going to those places, just like that you are in yeah
The Alps in the
so
U.S. are separate but equal.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
They're so different. Is one better than the other? No, that would be,
They
you
are
couldn't
just
say
different,
that.
but yeah, exactly.
And of course, you've come back to Hard Rock many, many times, which is actually a very small race. There's not that many people in it, but you like that style. And of course, you've won Ultra Tour du Mont Blanc, which is the opposite. It is literally
Yeah,
the opposite. Same distance, same vertical gain. But like you say in the Alps, there's a hut like every 10 kilometers at the
everywhere. Yeah,
most. Everywhere you can go to a town. I mean, I've done TMB, and I've done the high route, et cetera, et cetera. I've stopped staying in huts. I just stay at hotels now. I take a hot shower, and you come, like you say, you're just biking Highway 50 across Nevada. You're not seeing anything for 100 miles.
no, I think that's and like I would say like it's a very different experience on approaching mountains, and that probably like it's what makes also like the mountain culture different in Europe and the US. That like for example, like I live here, and if I go like from my home, I if I want to climb a summit, like I just start from home, and I start running up, and after like uh a few feet of distance, I start climbing the summit. And that's very common in Europe, that towns are in the mountains, and that also means that the wild spaces are often broke between like roads and towns. So you don't have these big spaces that they are like untouched. While in US, like normally the towns, even like mountain towns, are a bit further from the mountains. Like you often need to either bike or like take the car to the trailhead and start running from there. But once you are in the mountains, like it's much more. They are untouched. So you need to think more about like okay, like on what to carry to stay overnight, and so the approach, I would say, it's very different from that.
Right. And I appreciated what you did with the Colorado 14ers. You noted that some of these are private property, which is very odd. I think people of the
It
rest of
is,
the
yeah.
world would think, really? How can you do that? And there's been some controversy in the past here, and you just skipped it. You skipped two of the 14ers that are on private property. You don't want to get a permit. I mean, you had a particular style, a particular feeling, a particular ethic, and to apply for a permit to walk on someone's private property, just, so you
Yeah,
skip
it feels
two.
some
I personally
fear
thought that
to
was smart.
others. Yeah, it just like it feels odd on like going to that those and I mean, like it can be like it might be that the person that is owning that like have a good conscience and wants to preserve it, but I mean, in often cases, it's not that. It's just exploitation. They want to exploit economically, and if today that means tourism, they might preserve it like more. But if that tomorrow, it's like taking like a forest down, or if it's like some minerals, they will don't not doubt on doing that. So I mean, yeah, it's those places in my opinion should like be public and preserved. But I thought like it would be somehow I wanted to experience those mountains and what the people from the area can do, and I would feel like mm, not comfortable if like I come from Europe and like try to apply for special permits to climb Culebra, and and then just like say, yeah, I'm doing that because it's for climbing all the summits. Like if someone from like the town just under, like from Salida or whatever, they can't climb the mountain because they need a permit. So like it would feel like just weird.
That would feel weird. It feels weird to me, and I live here.
Yeah.
Well, you wrote something that I thought was very notable. Quoting you, I come from Scandinavia where access is always granted. You don't have any restrictions. Coming to Colorado is very different. A lot of the land is private, but the land is wild and it's huge. So that is something I wanted to learn on this project. And now I'm not quoting you, but you wanted to bring attention to this. You wanted to bring attention to the importance of public land and how good it is for our mental and physical health.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like here in Scandinavia, we have the right to roam, which means that every natural space, even if it's private, even like we own like in our around our house, for example, we own like a bit of terrain. So this terrain, even if it's private, we can't forbid people to come and walk or camp or like pick mushrooms or fruits or whatever. So like it's this right that the land, even if it's private, it should be accessible for people to do activities outdoors. And so yeah, that's probably the opposite from like when I was in Colorado, that everywhere was like no trespassing, like private property, and you can get in trouble if you are trespassing those places. And it felt like odd coming from here. I understand like the cultural background of this, but like I believe that access to nature, it's important for many different reasons. Like first is like um in general, like to do sport, like to and it's a good excuse like to just like go hiking summits for moving and for our physical health, but also especially for our mental health, like this connection that we are lacking more and more when we are living in cities, of being connected to nature. And it's just like our DNA haven't changed much in 2,000 years. We are still like
We are
mammal
animal.
yeah, and we need to like this connection with the bacteria that they are out there, and with the other species. It's needed for our development as healthy development, and that's something that if we have no access to nature, like we are lacking of that. And also I believe that if we are able to go to those places, we often develop a much closer connection with the landscapes, and then like therefore like we want to preserve them. So it's a good way to, yeah, to bring people close to that.
You've always been known for your strong environmental ethic, Kilian, and I very much appreciate that, as I think a lot of other people do. One looks at your accomplishments and say, wow, he is the best mountain ultra trail runner ever. But what a spokesman for the sport, because of your environmental ethic and your progressive stance on social issues such as gender equity. So we appreciate the attention you're bringing to the public land and access to public land.
No, thanks, but I think it's just like, and I'm not perfect. Like I still like, I took a plane to come to US and do the project, and had a support team that yeah, we were with RB, so like we had been polluting doing those project. But I think that shouldn't stop us. Like we don't need to wait to be perfect to work for our convictions and to do things. And yeah, I think that even if it's not my land, like those mountains, like I always feel more connected. Like I feel more home when I'm in the mountains in Monks Peak, or like in the San Juans or in the Sangre Cristo, than if I'm in Oslo. I mean, like it always feel home when I'm in the mountains. So like even if it's not my country, it's a place where somehow I feel home, because its nature and its mountains.
That was really good. You feel more at home on Long's Peak, which is in Colorado, than you do in Oslo, which of course is the capital of Norway, but a city. So I appreciate your comment there. The mountains are the mountains. Well, do the dryness. So you must have, I mean, the vast open spaces. I just want to kind of just stay with this a little bit longer. You're biking across Nevada, which is kind of hard to drive across. And, Colorado, just big, a lot of elevation, but kind of big piles of rocks. There isn't really any glaciers there. The air is dry. So what do you do? For you, it's just, hey, it's just different landscapes. I like it all. I like to appreciate the different styles. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it was about that too, like to feel the differences, and it was that was kind of cool. Doing the project, for example, in the Alps, like you are in the same kind of ecosystem for like all the time, and here it was very different. Like in Colorado, high plateaus, big rock, like rock mountains, and very dry air. Like the nose is dry all the time, like and the air like on the throat, and then you go to the desert and it's just like a completely different landscape for many days, and then the Sierra Nevada, that it's like kind of alpine terrain in the mountains, but still like very desertic. Like the ground, it's just like sand. It's just
dry.
like it's very dry, like alpine terrain on the desert somehow. And then like going north, like it changed. Like you start with the big forest, and like the smells like change. Like when you are in California, is like the smell of thymium or like these dry herbs, and then you go north and it starts to feel like the wet forest, and like the mushrooms, and then the glaciers and the volcanoes. It was like kind of amazing in this short time period to see so many different landscapes and still appreciate them. Also, like I think the bike thing was also about that, not because I think it's very different if you drive from Colorado to California, that you see the desert from the window, but you don't feel like the odors and like the wind and the sun blowing, and so I think the bike allows that to experience more the change of landscape.
Wow, you experienced it very, very personally, viscerally. Congratulations. Now I have to ask you one more dumb question, an irritating question. 2 years ago, you traversed the Pyrenees. Last year, Alpine Connections, which was incredible. This year, States of Elevation. Do you have any thoughts for 2026? I mean, looking at what you're doing, I'm not sure what could come next.
No, like I think like now it's like we still need to look to next year with Emily, my wife, and see like what races she wants to do, and like see with the school calendar and all these things, and see what's possible. But yeah, like this year it was a long project. Our kids are still very small, and yeah, I think I want to like not do such a long project in the next year, because I want to be a bit more with them, like, and maybe do some shorter projects or races. But like ideas, they are there, like, and it's great ranges everywhere. Like if you think like on, and I think also like I like to do different things. Like a project can be like a nice steep descent on skis, like or it can be like a long crossing, like I did in the Alps or here in the US. But also like some more like classical lessons, like climbing. So like it's ideas everywhere. Personally, like I want to go back to the Himalayas at some time. Like I still like a lot of things to do there, and I have like ski projects here in Norway, in the Alps, and now being in the US. Like it's some places where I want to explore more. Like I mean, like that's the problem, that normally when you do something, you don't go back home saying, okay, that's done. It's more like, okay, when I did that, I just saw all these other things that they excite me to go back at some time. And then, yeah, it's hard to find the time to do it, because, yeah, it's not time enough in life for doing everything.
Right. Well, you have 3 young children and a beautiful wife and a lovely home up there in Norway, so I could see why you'd wanna spend time at home. You have a balanced life, you'd like to keep it balanced, but you still got ideas, so something's going to be happening next year.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think ideas, they are always there. That's never the problem. It's more the logistics.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with everybody, Kilian. Congratulations again, and I look forward to sometime when I can see you in person.
Yeah, no, thanks, Bas, for that. And hopefully next time we meet, we can do and climb something together.
Thank you.